You need to be honest. You need to and accept it. Do your part. Don't take from others. Take from help, but give back. And so that's what our model is. We, as Steve said, we have the technology, and we're now in the next phase where we're expanding our partners to help us figure this out.
Very nice presentation, Dave. I thank you for that. I really think that made it very clear. Let me give an example of what Dave just talked about for a second, though. I'm the guy that goes in, I said it all along, I want to be the Chuck Norris because I'm the karate guy. I want to be the Chuck Norris that goes missing in action, go behind enemy lines. I want to go into prisons and connect with people. And in fact, in about 2 weeks, I'll be going on my second cross-country trip. I'll be going to North Dakota to a prison there, which is North Dakota State Penitentiary, a maximum security prison. Then the next day I'm going to be going to Missouri River Correctional Facility, a minimum security prison. And then I'm going to be going back to Powder River Correctional Facility in Baker City, Oregon. They invited me back. I was there last summer. They want me to meet some new people there and connect with some of the people that I already did. What an honor for me. They called me and said, you have some more books that you gave us, my workbook that I did. And so I set up another visit. I said, I'll send you books, but I'd like to come back. And they said, we want you. Then I'm going to Tennessee but what I want to do is go in and recruit people. I want to spread the word that we're here for you. And so as we do that, though, they will be coming out and connecting onto joining Right Thinking. And what that basically means is that we have a website, and it's more than a website, it's a platform. So they join. But there's a huge difference of becoming a member of Right Thinking and being a Facebook user type thing. And it comes in the security that we have, the privacies, the authorizations that are there. And it also gives us a chance to stream everything that's interacting, where there's like a message going back and forth or whatever. We can keep track of this. But the purpose is, these people that, as Wynn Lewis described, they've been dehumanized somewhat while they're in prison. They're not trusting of other people much anymore, if they ever were. They really don't know how to interact sometimes. They might want to, but they just don't know how. But what we want to do when they come out, we want them to know that we are there for you. So they join, they've made a commitment that they want to do good, and they join the Right Thinking National Online Support Network. When they do that, they have a private space that only Right Thinking Foundation, probably me in the beginning, will be with them. And then as I get with them, I connect them directly to the volunteer advocate through the program that Wynn Lewis is running the pilot, which will expand. See, this is very expandable. It can be duplicated throughout the whole country once we prove that the pilot works. It's not for any one faith. It's not a faith-based program, although many of us are faith-based. But no, we just love everybody. And so, but once we get them in, then we bring in another person that they invite in. Nobody can be into their space on the network unless they're invited in. So now we've got a returning citizen, we've got Steve, and we've got a volunteer advocate. And then as they grow and start this relationship, we get into some phone calls also. We go from just the typed word on social media type of a platform. And then we give them resources. We send them links to videos, motivational things, a song that's good. We develop a friendship. We're positive encouragers. But the real goal from there is to get them to the next step, which is physical relationships in their own community. And so that's kind of how it works. We want to let them know they're loved. We want to let them know that they're not alone. But then we want to get them job interviews. We want to be able to send them to a house of worship, whatever their faith is. It could be a mosque, it could be a temple, it could be a church. It doesn't matter. But we want to get them into some real community involvement, but we want to be there as a friend. And this software combined with the friendship program that we're going to be developing here, and the tools with budgeting and handling your finances better, we're not going to reinvent the wheel in some of our resources. We're going to constantly be connecting them through other things that are positive influences for them. And then after we move them along for a while and they're making some progress, we're going to put them into the Design Your Empowered Year program, which is a 1-year mentorship. We recognize that anybody that's trying to reemerge back into society, it's not going to be an overnight thing. They're going to have their ups and downs. So once right thinking becomes at a friendship level, almost like a family level where they know we're really there for them, we're going to love them despite some of their shortcomings, we want them to get into a more long-term program. Next week, we're going to have our 4th time that we're going to be highlighting Design Your Empowered Year. It's a 2-part one. The following week, we'll have a follow-up with John Mahaya. And Lefford Fate is part of that, and he's had 3 other shows too. So we're connecting with some very, very positive people. So the technology that we're using, we've got a thing that's, Dave, you did for me also. It's the technology slide with the mentoring via the secure platform. You want to explain that one to everybody?
Yeah, let me give maybe a little example. We talk at Concursive, we talk a lot about little data. So you don't hear as much about little data. In the popular press, you hear about big data. And big data is guys like IBM and Microsoft and these massive data sets they're collecting to try to figure out trends around healthcare. And that's all great stuff. It's all needed. More power to them. We talk a lot about little data. And let me give you an example of that. Here's where little data is really powerful. Let's say I'm part of one of these little private support groups, and as part of this little support group for a returning citizen who's committed, I coach them to say, look, I want you to put in the dates of your upcoming job interviews in a little calendar, and if you do that, I can see it. I can see when you're having a thing, and it'll keep you on track better and keep me. And so it's all about a little bit of transparency with someone who needs help. Now here's where the little data comes in. Let's say after one of these meetings, I decide I don't hear anything from my friend here I'm trying to help. I might just pick up the phone. I was reminded by this little piece of data that they had an appointment today. And let's say it didn't go well. The mere fact that I pick up a phone and call, which takes all of a minute, if it went well, that's great. If it didn't go well, I might be able to spend 5 or 6 minutes saying, well, tell me why it didn't go well. What questions did they ask? Why were you nervous? Now, I do this with my sons, and I'm sure Steve does it with his sons, quite regularly. I don't browbeat them at all. Once a week or so, they call me or I call them, and in 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes I can be helpful. That's the power of little data, of transparency to see this simple stuff, and a little bit of effort can have a huge impact. And we've all had examples where, I'm sure we've all had examples where you just having a horrible, horrible day or struggling, or one of your friends is struggling, and you serendipitously run into the right person at the right time, and 5 minutes later you go, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm back on track. That's what everybody needs, and that's where a little bit of technology with a little bit of information, a little bit of data can go a long, long way. And in this case, the technology has to be simple. It can't be complex. It should require no training. And so over many, many years, we've built our technology to be able to build private areas that require almost no training. They allow you to put an event in a calendar, or they allow you to type a little note in what Facebook would call a wall. And everybody who's been on any kind of social media, LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, will understand what those are and how they work. You type and hit save. So that's what these private areas are. They're not meant to be highly sophisticated in terms of how they work. They're designed to follow what's already happening in social media, but they're private. and they're controlled, and this is really, really important, they're controlled by the returning citizen or anybody else who needs help. They're controlled by them in concert with mentors and friends and people to help them. So that's how they work. And Steve, if you're talking about the slide that says Gordon Cliff, I'm not sure which.
No, I'm talking about Right Thinking Foundation Strengths of Technology slide, with mentoring via secure platform, participants connect to the community, long-term positive relationships.
Well, that's great. Well, that's hopefully I touched on.
Yeah, you did.
Some of that.
You did the whole thing. Let me pick up on that. We have about 4 minutes to go here. Dave, I think you've done an outstanding job communicating to everyone how the technology works and the power of it and why it's necessary. Let me just take a moment here to say a couple things about this. What I really want to say is, you've just heard Dave Richards talk about how technology can be used to love people, to let them know they're not alone, to connect with them. His whole concept of connecting and being part of community. It's the same thing that Wynn Lewis believes in agape love and how he wants to connect with people. And what I strongly believe, what I passionately believe, is that the problems that we're having in this country with this underserved population that we're talking about, these returning citizens, we call it the underserved population. We've put together a program. This is a summary here. We've put together a program where right thinking goes into prisons, and we deliver our message of love, encouragement, and hope, and we provide them tools and things they can do to change their behavior with keeping track of their finances, reduce stress, whatever. But above all else, we go in and let them know that they're loved and there's people out here that care about them. And then we have this radio show that we're constantly broadcasting messages to that are positive, that are reaching out to try to say we're here for you and to give you some positive examples on ways to do and provide you some tools. And now we've got the National Online Support Network. We're going to help you succeed. We're going to get you out there and have you rebuild your life, and it's going to be beautiful. And so that's what we want to do. And Dave, I want to kind of end this with just, I want to read some scripture, and then I'll let you have the last word before I say goodbye to everybody. I'll bring you back here. So I Google all the time, whatever my theme is, I do scripture on that. So today I Googled scripture on community, and I came up with some incredibly beautiful stuff. Romans 12:4-5. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Hebrews 10:24-5. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching, the day of the Lord. Romans 12:4-5. I just read that twice. I'll read it again. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. 1 Corinthians 1:10. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them. And 1 Peter 3:8. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. And remember this, the very first scripture that Right Thinking Foundation adopted was Matthew 25:36-40. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And about a year ago, I adopted Matthew 18:12-14 as one of the main points of right thinking, one of the main scriptures. It's the parable of the lost sheep, to paraphrase. If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish. I want to tell you one last time, Right Thinking Foundation is here for everyone. We love you and we care about you as an individual, and we're doing everything we can to help make your lives better. Dave, you want to say anything as we close?